Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm Santosh. Thanks for attending the session. This is the Build Security Monitoring and Response at Scale, focused on CloudTrail, which is a foundational service that I'll be talking about. I'm hoping that most of you guys are familiar with what the service is. So this is the short agenda for the talk today. I'll give you a quick overview of what CloudTrail is, go over some of the cool new features that we've launched in the recent past, and we have two demos for you. One around a new event category that we launched recently around network activity events, and another demo around enriched events that we recently launched as well. And hopefully you guys will enjoy the demo and see how these new capabilities are improving your overall posture from a security perspective. All right, like everything at AWS, CloudTrail takes security very seriously, and it's one of the foundational things that we actually enable and also sort of ensure, just from a service perspective, that everything that we do helps our customers have the best security sort of capabilities and posture for your respective services. A quick overview about CloudTrail. Hopefully most of you are familiar with what the service does, but foundationally what CloudTrail does is it acts as a sort of audit for all the activity that any account in AWS is performing. So it captures all the different API actions that are performed on the different AWS services. It also allows you to sort of store that and analyze that for a variety of different AWS or security use cases, from threat detection also to sort of reactive investigations to understand any vulnerabilities in your perimeter. And you can also go back and sort of analyze recent and historical activity for all the different use cases that I just sort of mentioned right now. This is the sort of foundational overview of CloudTrail in general, but the three sort of products that we offer for CloudTrail. One is a free product called Event History that captures what we call control plane activity, and you can look up that history for free in the AWS console as well as through the AWS API. The second product is called our Trails product, where you can then capture all the activity, both control plane as well as data plane activity, and then send it to an S3 bucket of your choice that you can then either use AWS services such as Athena to query, or you can use third-party capabilities as well of your choice. And the third service that we're going to be spending a lot more time talking about today is CloudTrail Lake. It's our end-to-end managed offering that allows you not only to store AWS CloudTrail activity, but also allows you to sort of retain that for a period of time. And it also has built-in querying and analytical features, and also to help you visualize sort of the findings in a manner that help you sort of create dashboards so that you can look at the activity on a regular basis and see how your sort of overall AWS activity has been trending over a period of time. One of the things that we also ensure is that any CloudTrail activity that is stored in any of the different services that we offer are immutable. So that provides security and gives you confidence that all the audit trails that we're capturing are immutable in nature and cannot be tampered with by any bad actors. All right, so this is all the different things that we've been launching in the recent past, and the two that I've highlighted are the ones that we'll be talking about in terms of a demo later on today. The ways in which we organize these launches are around, what are the different capabilities we've launched for CloudTrail events, and what are the things that we're doing from a visualization and analytical capabilities perspective, and finally, what are the GenAI related features that we are actually launched. In terms of the actual event type itself, sometimes CloudTrail events can be quite voluminous in nature, and it's important for customers to only focus on certain CloudTrail events that are most relevant to them. That's why we continue to add more filtering capabilities that you can then, like I mentioned, use to focus on just relevant activity for your use case. The second feature that we launched is around network activity events, which is a new event category that provides you net new visibility into AWS activity that is traversing through VPC endpoints. So if you're a big VPC customer, this could be a relevant launch for you, and we'll talk through it and also do a quick demo for you as well. The third is we launched enrichment of events, where we want to make the analysis of CloudTrail events more context aware. And the way we do that is by adding or allowing you to append resource tags as well as IAM condition keys in the event itself, the CloudTrail event itself. So you can imagine sort of, filtering certain CloudTrail events by application context or different contexts such as finance or cost center based context for you to sort of look at specific CloudTrail events that are most relevant to your use case. We also increase the event size for CloudTrail events so that you can analyze your CloudTrail events without having to worry about some of the activity being truncated, which could happen for other CloudTrails events in the past, which is capped at a 256 KB limit. And finally, we also launched additional visibility into specific S3 batch delete operations. In the past, you would only get the actual batch delete API action itself, but not the subsequent individual actions that are executed as part of the batch operation. So now with this launch, you have very detailed, very granular, specific activity or visibility into the activity for such batch delete operations. In the visualization and analytical vertical, we launched new dashboards the last 6 months that allows you to sort of configure all of these activities in the form of visualizations, and then go back to it and see on a regular basis how the activity is actually trended to identify any events of interest from a security perspective. We also made it easy for you to share these different CloudTrail events stored in CloudTrail Lake more easily across your organization. So if you have the need to sort of only share a subset of events with a certain team, it makes it easier through resource-based policies for you to do that in a more seamless manner. And we continue to add GenAI related features in terms of how do you use natural query language creation to write queries, SQL queries, especially if you're not familiar or highly technical in nature, as well as once you get the results, execute the query and get the results. It helps you summarize the actual hundreds and thousands of potentially voluminous results that you actually get from a query perspective. Just to set up the demos that I'll be doing, these are the standard security challenges that most of you actually face. You have a lot of data to actually parse through to identify any interesting events of note from a security perspective. Then you need to sort of try and identify whether there are events that are correlated with each other or completely independent, because that could help you understand the severity of the threat. And then you also need the ability to sort of understand how do you actually respond and remediate these incidents of interest. So these are the standard or typical challenges that security teams usually face. So going on to the first demo that I'll be doing right now on network activity events, just to set up what it is and why it's so critical. If you're a VPC customer, you probably know this, but a lot of our customers operate or want to operate in a private cloud for security reasons, and it allows them to sort of also then ensure that there is a strong security perimeter around their services. And so for such customers, they use VPC endpoints as a way to sort of communicate outside of that virtual private cloud and access sort of AWS services that they need to. And so to provide customers additional visibility into what's happening through these VPC endpoints, we launched a new category of events called network activity events that will provide to the VPC endpoint owner all the detailed event that's traversing through that VPC endpoint, such as if certain actions are denied because of the VPC endpoint policy, that's captured, and also any actions that are allowed through the VPC endpoint, they're also captured as well. So this was not possible previously, but because of this launch, you now have net new visibility into what's happening through these VPC endpoints. Right now, the service is available for 15 odd AWS services, including big ones such as S3 and EC2, but we'll be adding more services and eventually getting to all 350 AWS services from a coverage perspective. The typical problem statement that we have here is that you want to identify whether there is an unauthorized access that's trying to execute any AWS activity going through a VPC endpoint, and how do you actually identify who that is, and what's the user identity related to it, and which account is actually trying to execute the VPC endpoint or actions through the VPC endpoint. So that's the first demo that we'll actually be covering in a little bit. But before I go to the actual demo, I want to talk about the second use case that we'll be talking about around event enrichment. And like I was mentioning earlier, this is the ability for you to append resource tags and select global condition keys to the CloudTrail events. And what this allows you to do is just makes it easy for you to categorize, search, and analyze all your activity in a certain context. As a consequence, you'll be able to create application-specific activity reports using the resource tags in the CloudTrail events itself. And the problem statement for this demo is if you're a security team, for example, that needs to investigate unusual activity for files within an S3 bucket, maybe those S3 buckets are tagged with a certain set of tags such as, is this data classification sensitive, or is this a production environment, or is this a staging environment, et cetera, and allows you to sort of just focus on those sensitive buckets and identify what actions are being performed by whom, under certain circumstances. So those are the two things that we'll actually do from a demo perspective. So I'm going to switch over to my demo, and then we'll walk through the experience there. All right, so this is how the CloudTrail Lake console actually looks like today. I'll spend a minute just explaining how you typically set up the first event data store, which is essentially what we call tables within the CloudTrail Lake experience. So typically what you do is click on event data store, and I'll just name the event data store, and you have two choices of pricing for CloudTrail Lake based on how long you want to store these sort of events up front. So you either have a 1-year retention option, which is ideal for those customers who have a certain amount of data, which is like not exceeding 25 terabytes as such. But if you have a lot more data and you want to retain it for much longer, then a 7-year retention pricing is probably a better option for you. So once you choose the pricing option, you also have the option of selecting whether you want KMS encryption using your own key or AWS managed key. I'll just leave that as default. You also have the option of enabling federation that allows you to use AWS Athena to query the actual data that resides in your CloudTrail Lake. And then just going forward, this is where you select the specific CloudTrail event type that you want to capture. So you have a choice of selecting management events, which is control plane activity, data events, which is data plane activity, and the new event category that I just described right now, which is network activity events itself. And for the purposes of this demo, I'll just leave it as management events. And then going forward, this is where you can specify specific resource tags that you want to enrich your CloudTrail events with. So in this case, for example, I'm more interested in data classification as a tag, as well as the environment. Click on next, and finally create the actual EDS itself. So I'm not going to go through the full creation process because I have a few EDSs already ready. So for the first demo, which is around network activity events, I'll choose one of the event data stores. And if you look at how I've configured the network activity events to be selected here, I've specified that just collect CloudTrail events that are going through this specific VPC endpoint that have these IDs, and that allows me to sort of just focus on specific VPC endpoints. So I've set up this EDS right now to collect VPC endpoint network activity events that are traversing this VPC endpoint. And let's go back and see what I can do with this from a querying perspective to see, what analysis I can actually do. So we have this really cool querying feature or sort of screen here that allows you to either type in a natural language expression and that'll convert that into an actual SQL query for you, and then sort of help you analyze the data. So I have a few sample queries already saved here, and I'll talk about what is the specific query I'm going to run first, which is just give me a list of all the access denied actions that took place and sort of were traversing this VPC endpoint. So I'm going to click on that. And let's see what it shows. So as you can see, it listed a bunch of API actions that were, that occurred through this VPC endpoint, and I can just extend the different. I can look at the specific action, details about the action and why it was denied, and what was the specific account that was trying to access it, which is this column, and the specific user identity that was involved in the action as well. You can then use the action, the account ID and the user identity to sort of identify whether these were authorized actors or not, and then based on that you can either contact the account owner to find out why they were trying to access this when they were not supposed to. This is the first query in terms of just listing out all the different actions that happened through this VPC endpoint. I have another query that actually helps you visualize this better, and what this does is just give me the count of all the VPC, all the access denied actions that happened through this VPC. So let's run this as well. And this tells me that there were 30 incidents of this particular account trying to access the resource using a put object event name, and there were 33 such actions that the same account ID tried to execute using the delete object action as well. And I'll show you how to actually create a visualization out of this. I'll choose the bar chart here, use a label for event name and value as count. And then you can actually see that these were the specific counts for the delete object as well as the put object here. I can add this to a dashboard as well, so that I don't need to keep sort of creating this bar graph or bar chart all the time and pin it to my actual dashboard. So this is how my saved dashboards actually look like, and you can look at the specific bar chart that I created in the past as well. So this is an example of how you can use CloudTrail Lake to visualize the activity that's happening through VPC endpoints, and it sort of makes it very intuitive and powerful for you to actually take actions on this as well. Going back to the second demo around event enrichment, I'll show you a couple of queries that'll tell you the power of actually using those tags that you included in the CloudTrail events itself. So going back to the query, I'll change the EDS and go back to my saved queries. And the first query is just to list all the specific CloudTrail events that related to the put object and delete object actions for S3, and that's all I sort of care about, because these are the actions that I think are most sort of vulnerable or important. And let's see what this actually shows us when we run that. So this gives me the full event context for all the actions that occurred related to delete object and put object. And if I just extend the event context, you'll also be able to see the specific resource tags related to this event. And the specific ones that I'm most interested in are the data classification and the environment tags. So as you can see, the tag for data classification for this particular event is sensitive, and the environment is production. So this, doing this allows me to sort of understand whether these actions are potentially sort of severe because the data classification is sensitive and the environment is production versus staging or testing or whatever else it is. I will also show you how to maybe visualize this as well using. And for example, if I just want to filter by the specific data classification type as sensitive, I have a query here that I can run, and it just shows me and narrows down all the actions that are only relevant to a specific set of objects that are sensitive in nature. So as you can see, the data classification here is sensitive, and that only allows me to focus my analysis on a small subset of actions. And just finally, one last query that I want to actually show you is how do you visualize this data by just identifying the actions for these sensitive S3 buckets. And you do that by running a query, and I actually have the dashboard saved, so I'll quickly go over to the dashboard here. And just refresh the dashboards here. I think I chose the wrong dashboard. Right. All right, awesome. So I think I'm probably not able to find that one dashboard, but you get the general gist. You can then use these dashboards to look at specific views of activity and then visualize them as bar charts as well as pie charts as well. So this is just a few ways in which you can use CloudTrail Lake to look at specific events of interest and then use a visualization to create sort of charts out of them. Hopefully, you find this session useful, and if you have any specific questions that I can answer around CloudTrail Lake or CloudTrail in general, please feel free to sort of catch me on the side, and happy to answer those questions. Cool, thank you.